Welcome back. Grass and hay are cattle producers' #1 resource. That's becoming more and more true as the economy continues to tighten and producers look for better ways to utilize resources and cut costs. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Jim Witt traveled to Gray Summit, Missouri to learn more about forage utilization from the nutrition experts at Land O'Lakes Purina Feed.
At the Longview Animal Nutrition Center in Missouri, Dr. Lee Dickerson has spent his career studying how cattle producers can best utilize their forage. He says it's possible for producers to maintain their cattle's performance while decreasing cost.
Well, 85 to 100% of the cow's diet or developing animal's diet is forage, grass, hay, crop residues. So the ticket is, how can we get more of that through the cattle?
Your cattle's needs vary depending on the stage of production or maturity of your available forage.
As we have vegetative forages, similar to what I have in my right hand, that very little stem, mostly leaf material, no seed head, very high in quality, very fast rate of passage, highest intakes an animal will ever achieve. But then as forages, whether it's freestanding pasture or hay that's produced in this stage, in the vegetative stage, forages begin to mature. They go through transition where you begin to put on more seed head, more stem, still green, but declining in quality. And then we proceed through reproductive green where you've got a lot of stem, a lot of seed head, and then you get into the dormancy stage. And all during this process, we're declining in quality. We also decline in total intake and a slower rate of passage.
Dr. Dickerson says there are key drivers of cattle's forage intake. Cattlemen have little control of one factor, the size of the animal's rumen. But Dr. Dickerson says there are ways producers can have substantial impact on cattle's forage intake.
How we feed the rumen bacteria that actually digest the forage. And those rumen bacteria really have a need for 4 different things. They have a need for ammonia, they have a need for energy, they have a need for trace minerals, and they have a need for macrominerals. And they need those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so the more we can provide a more uniform platform of nutrition for those bacteria within the rumen, the more we can enhance overall forage intake.
It is also important to stabilize pH. If pH is maintained at or above 6.2, it will create a better environment for the rumen to maximize forage utilization. During certain times of the year, forage declines in value. Supplementation can have a major impact on how that forage is utilized.
There's a direct correlation to how we supplement cattle and whether we have a positive or negative impact on getting as much of the greatest resource through those cattle as we possibly can.
Supplementation can be delivered in many different forms.
Hand feeding, providing supplement either on a daily basis or maybe once every other day. The second way of supplementation is to have it available to the cow, to the growing animal, and for the rumen bacteria 24/7 by a self-fed type program. Hand feeding is where we physically go out and deliver to the animal either a range cube or a cake or some of the byproducts, dry byproducts. Key points are we physically deliver the product, we give it to them all at one time, and then they eat it in a very short amount of time. That actually provides also a very short amount of nutrition for the rumen microflora. When we physically deliver a supplement in the cows and we dose the cows all at one time, they eat it very rapidly. As they eat it very rapidly, it only provides a short window of nutrition for the key bugs that digest forage. You can have a very negative impact on providing groceries for the bugs on a 24/7 basis, and you can really nail pH, which can inhibit overall rate of passage and forage utilization on poorer quality forages.
Hand feeding is a popular method with cattlemen, but self-feeding is also a good option.
Self-feeding is the means of supplementation where we have the supplement available out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are different types across the country. Some of them work, some of them don't. And I think from a producer perspective, I'd want to be asking 3 or 4 different questions as to whether this particular self-feeding technology truly allows the bugs to get their groceries throughout the day, 24/7, and whether we can maintain a constant pH at 6.2 or higher.
Purina has research to stand behind their products. Experts say snack feeding is a method that's effective for cattle. It is important to know that supplements are causing snack eating.
We are able to know whether we can truly cause snack eating or not. We have individual kaolin gates, individual tracking of intake of cattle. We can tell how many times animals come to the bunk, how much they consume each time they come, the largest, smallest, and average snack of the day. And even in these small confined areas with one of our intake modifying technology products, again, data from this particular facility shows that we had about 6 pounds of intake all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the animals came back 12 times to consume a 6-pound average per head per day. So we know we can cause snack eating, and we know that then we can deliver nutrients more on a uniform basis for cattle versus a hand feeding situation. Can you truly stabilize pH? If you can't and you're really dropping pH, you're going to affect forage utilization. We have actually taken some of our intake modifying technology products as AccuRation or Superlix and dumped them directly into the side of the rumen. And in this first chart that I'd like to show you with Superlix, we either dumped it in over 3 pounds one time a day, or 3 different snacks over the course of the day at about a pound, a little more than a pound each time we dumped it in. And even when we dumped it in to simulate a minimum of 3 snacks per head per day, you'll see that our pHs are way above 6.2 and very, very stable.
Intake modifiers developed by the experts at Land O'Lakes Purina Feed can help cattle producers better utilize forage.
So number 1, we can deliver nutrition throughout the day to the bugs. Number 2, we can stabilize pH. And then the third thing we had to address in our own minds was how did it work performance-wise versus hand feeding. In 4 trials with one of our intake modifying technology products called Superlix, you'll notice that we had very similar conceptions, very similar weaning weights, but we actually using Superlix versus hand feeding, 11% less total supplement per head per day to get the same performance. With AccuRation, we actually used 15% less total product per head per day versus hand feeding. Why? Better forage utilization.
In the context of labor and capital resource utilization, delivery costs are an important consideration for cattlemen. Dr. Dickerson says there are ways to manage these costs.
The final piece that you really need to address, how can I and can I actually reduce my delivery cost versus hand feeding? If you're hand feeding every day, if you look at today's labor cost, fuel cost, maintenance cost, depreciation cost, and look at it over about a 150-day period of if you're feeding once a day, hand feeding, versus putting out one of the intake modifying technology products once a week, we can save a producer up to $40 a head today. If they're feeding every other day, that's half that, or $20 per head per feeding season.
And in these tough economic times, managing cost and utilizing forage are key for cattle producers' bottom line.
So to get optimal forage utilization and to really be able to effectively use your supplement dollar, you really need some type of technology that will allow you to feed the bugs on a continuous basis. You need to be able to stabilize pH. You need to make sure that the products that you're delivering on a self-fed basis can deliver the nutrition to optimize total return for you as a rancher. And you really need to be able to decrease your delivery costs versus hand feeding. We believe we can do all of those things based upon our research and intake modifying technology.
Reporting from Gray Summit, Missouri, I'm Jim Witt for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Land O'Lakes Purina Feed uses its cutting-edge research facility to provide cattle producers with the tools they need to be profitable in both volatile and stable economic times. For more information on intake modifying technology, contact your local Purina dealer or visit cattlemantocattleman.org.